The fourth edict already burns for your world. Your affliction upon her will soon be erased.
Suffocate!
Hello, I just thought I'll do a quick video on explaining how this tech works, why this is so strong, and what people can do to take this build further. Disclaimer here, I believe we have two bugs interaction for this tech to be this strong. It can be very strong still if they fix the bugs, but you just have to bear that in mind. GGG could just fix it tomorrow, and it just won't be as good. I'll explain a bit later what those bug interactions are and how it really affects the build, which I don't think is actually that bad. So, acidic concoction essentially throws a flask that explodes, consumes poison on hit to cause an acidic burst. So this poison can actually be on any poison target. It doesn't have to be an enemy. So it will work for plants that we can generate here. So for example, if we use a toxic growth, you get all these ball sacks, and if they are poisoned, you can trigger an explosion on those. They are not poisoned at the moment. If there was an enemy standing there and we shoot an arrow, it'll cause like an AoE poison, as you can see here, this AoE. If that hits that, then it'll be poisoned, and then you can use poisonous concoction to trigger an acidic burst. So actually I could test it better by doing this. Hits against the terrain should work. As you can see, they instantly exploded because once they are poisoned, these will explode instantly. However, if you have vines, as you can see, they glow green. That means they are poisoned. You can do that without actually exploding the plant or consuming the poison. So you can just do that over and over again. Very strong. And the interesting interaction here is that each projectile, as you can see, one projectile here is actually triggering 3 explosions. Assuming your radius is big enough, one flask explosion will trigger 3 acidic bursts. So what we want to do here is make sure you have AoE on your flask, so each one can trigger all 3. And then you take Nova projectiles, which will give you 4 additional projectiles. Aim your mouse on top of your character, and it should throw all your flask projectiles on top of you. So this means 3 projectiles times 3 fines. We are talking 15 acidic explosions per second. Which brings us on to the first bug of this interaction. I think if you use acidic burst on these plants, that it should consume the poison. It means you will have to shoot again, reapply, shoot again, reapply. So that's what's going to be fixed in the future, I think. The second bug, which is also very huge, the damage of acidic burst comes from the initial poison damage and duration of the arrow. But if you take damage nodes on your flask, it seems like it's actually scaling the acidic burst life loss part. So the life loss is being treated as a physical hit at the moment. So your damage from this and damage from that, this will stack on top of that, essentially making it 7, 8, 10 links, 12 links. I could be wrong, but from a simple test that I did, which is just taking out all the damage nodes other than brutality support, I was noticing an extra 50% damage. It could be the range of the poison, because there is a range that you can roll from. But yeah. The mapping for this build is horrible. Definitely don't recommend it. Not nice at all. You have to either rely on gas arrow maybe, or just do that, apply the poison, throw the flask, apply the poison, throw the flask. It's very slow. Also, leveling up this build is not great. You definitely want to do lightning arrow stuff until you get your first ascendancy, and then that's when you want to switch to poison. My gear here is actually really bad. Except my bow. I think my bow is pretty good. It's probably worth like 10 divines really, but you don't really need it. I can kill Arbiter in 2.5 seconds. You can get a bow that's half DPS of this for less than 1 divine and kill Arbiter in 4 seconds instead of 2. So it's fine. It is really a low budget, do all content build. And then the rest of my gear is just like worthless. This amulet is super important because this amulet is the reason why we can have an extra vine on the ground alongside a support gem for that, which is overabundance. This is really important, and this is also really important because each vine you have, it's essentially a multiplier on the acidic burst. Another important support gem you need to have is Vine Arrow. This allows the vines to be more closer together. Without this, they'll be separated quite far apart, and your one flask might not be able to trigger all 3 explosions. So what you really want to do is put concentrated area. You don't care about the area damage part, you only care about the less area of effect part. So, yeah, as you can see, they are much closer together. Another very strong belt we are using is Darkness Enthroned. There is a rune which gives you increased magnitude of damaging elements you inflict. We can get all resistances from other gear, so you don't really have a problem with resistances, life, or whatever. So you are really free to use this, which will give you almost 60% of magnitude of damage elements you inflict. Another nice thing about the belt is that you gain flask charges per second. That's also semi-important because you can run out of your flask if you throw them too fast. So if you didn't know, acidic flask consumes 5 mana charges per throw. That's 70. But you can make that a lot better, feel a lot better if you have Darkness Enthroned. And if you roll 0.25 charges per second gained on your flask as well. There is a aura called, I think, Alchemist Boom that gives you an extra 0.25 per second. So you can take that if you have 3 spirit. But I've opted for a curse that essentially gives people more poison duration. Yeah, makes other effects on them expire more slowly. So this is another multiplier on top of the poison duration, which is very strong. Very good as well because it slows targets, which is another defensive layer. This one is nice as well. I think it makes you recover your life much quicker and in a larger burst. So another important thing to make you more tanky. Yeah, levels to your poison burst arrow are also very important. As you can see, I'm getting like level 28. It's just absolutely insane. quality is nice if you can somehow get it. It gives you more magnitude of poison inflicted. But yeah, levels essentially gives you... Well, how do I show you? Okay. Base duration increase. So extra level 2 poison burst arrow gives you extra poison duration base. So if you take any other support gems like prolonged duration, it will essentially multiply on top of this base value, almost like a base crit chance. You can see it as, and it's super important to how much damage you do. So definitely get things that gives you level to your projectiles. There's 2 there, 5 there. Yeah, very important. Yeah, this amulet is a must. So you can't really have a rare amulet to replace that. That might give you 2 extra levels. If you want even more damage and you don't mind pressing more button, there is a lineage support gem, which gives you Unholy Might. Unholy Might is a buff that grants 30% of all damage as extra chaos damage, so that's a more 30% extra damage. But yeah, you would need to command a minion. Commanding means you need to press a button to make your minion do something, and that's when you get a buff for 5 seconds. So during that 5 seconds, you want to shoot that arrow to do an extra shit amount of damage, and then trigger an explosion. If I were to take this build further, I think I definitely want a energy shield / hybrid setup with evasion. That's probably much better than just stacking life. Life just isn't great at the moment still.